steeples stretching into the sky, light filtering through stained glass, heavy wooden pews in orderly rows. For centuries, this architecture has been meticulously engineered to project a single, universal message: you are safe here. When you cross the threshold of a church, you are stepping into a designated refuge from the outside world. Looking at this standard floor plan, our brains immediately recognize the sanctuary. But when a guaranteed safe space is suddenly revealed to harbor a severe threat, we experience a profound mental panic known as cognitive dissonance. The mind struggles to process the contradiction. In a fraction of a second, the comforting geometry of the room inverts, and the sanctuary becomes a cage. The terror inside these walls climbs through 3 distinct levels. It begins with supernatural encounters in abandoned ruins, escalates to fringe groups operating on the edges of society, and reaches a climax with institutional predators shielded by the very community they inhabit. This forces us to ask a highly uncomfortable question. When you enter a house of worship and the heavy doors pull shut behind you, what is actually in the room with you? We drop our guard completely when we perceive ourselves to be in a holy place. This blind trust in our surroundings creates a psychological vulnerability that threats are uniquely positioned to exploit. The lowest tier of this threat relies entirely on isolation. In rural New Jersey, an old church sat heavily vandalized and abandoned atop a blocked-off hill. It was a rotting structure, completely detached from the local community. 3 19-year-olds hiked up to the ruins late one October night. They brought a Ouija board and a few candles, sitting in the dark to try and contact the dead. This is our culturally conditioned fear of empty churches. We expect old, hollowed-out buildings to hold on to the spirits of the past. The teenagers asked their cliched questions into the dark. Then, a loud, heavy cracking sound echoed directly from the altar. Before they could even shine their flashlights to investigate, a rock the size of a golf ball slammed down directly onto the Ouija board. All 3 scrambled out of the building screaming, abandoning the board and the candles, and sprinted back down the hill to their car. To this day, they debate whether they angered a spirit or if a human trespasser was hiding in the shadows with them. An abandoned church relies on our primal fear of the unknown. However, the danger remains passive. A ruined building isolated in the woods only threatens those who actively trespass to seek it out. The threat profile changes when we move from dead buildings to active, living threats. Occasionally, a congregation hides in plain sight, using the outward appearance of religion to mask something deeply hostile. 2 lost hikers in South Carolina found this out when they followed a river to a decaying brick church with dirt-covered cars out front. Hearing gospel music inside, they walked in to ask to use a phone. The piano player stopped immediately. Dozens of impoverished congregants lowered their song sheets and stared at the hikers in absolute, deafening silence until they slowly backed out the door. A Catholic couple looking for property in rural Georgia experienced an even more aggressive version of this. They pulled into a roadside church on a weekday to attend Mass. They took a seat in the pews, only to realize there wasn't a single woman in the building. Every person there was a man in his 30s or 40s, and one by one, they turned to aggressively stare at the girlfriend. The illusion of a normal Mass shattered when a man stepped up to the altar. He was wearing a mask. He pointed directly at the couple and demanded to know, "Who invited you here?" When the boyfriend tried to explain they were looking for a Catholic Mass, the masked man ordered them to leave immediately. In both of these accounts, the danger followed them past the exit. The South Carolina hikers were actively stalked up the dirt road by a dozen men from the church. The Georgia couple fled to their car, only to find a gray van from the church parking lot tailing them tightly, following them for miles until they reached the safety of a sheriff's office. These false flocks weaponize the visual shield of religion to mask coordinated fringe activities. Living humans are more dangerous than haunted ruins because they will actively hunt those who stumble into their territory. The final escalation brings the danger into the heart of the community. The highest tier of threat occurs inside an active, widely trusted Catholic elementary school during a daytime Cub Scout meeting. For one 8-year-old boy, the warning signs started a few days prior. While sitting in the back pew during Sunday Mass with his mother, he noticed an older man with a white mustache leaning against the wall, staring at him. The man repeatedly made unsettling faces at the boy, prompting the mother to intervene and usher the child out after communion. Later that week, during a Scout scavenger hunt, the boy ended up alone in a narrow cafeteria hallway. The same older man from the Mass approached him. The man whispered that he had better treats in a back room where kids weren't allowed. When the boy tried to walk away, the man tightly grabbed his wrist and told him to be quiet. The boy screamed for help, broke free, and ran straight to his scoutmaster. The ensuing report revealed a sickening reality. The man was a church employee who lived directly on the parish grounds. Sometime later, a different family came forward, accusing the exact same man of inappropriate contact with an altar boy. This is the ultimate subversion of sanctuary. A predator at this level doesn't need to hide out in a decaying building in the woods. They use the absolute, unquestioning institutional trust of an active parish community as their personal hunting ground. The danger evolves as it moves closer to the center of the community. While a Ouija board or a rural cult exists on the periphery, a predator living permanently inside the parish grounds operates with total access to the center of the safe zone. Sacred infrastructure provides a powerful layer of camouflage. When violence or predation occurs within these walls, the building itself serves as a shield, allowing a threat to blend perfectly into the congregation. Architecture cannot guarantee safety. A steeple and a stained glass window are just wood and glass. Protecting ourselves requires looking past the symbols of refuge and remaining vigilant about the people standing right beside us in the pews.